Okay, this is probably the most difficult lesson of this unit for sure. It's basically adding fractions. And if you know your fractions, you won't really find it all that difficult. I just want to remind you of how fractions work. All right, so hang on a second. Let me just check something really quick. Wait. Hang on a second. Back. Okay, I don't even have that many to do. So I'm going to jump to this one. Okay, I want to remind you about how to add and subtract fractions. So I'm going to do add fractions. And you're like, I know how to add fractions. Well, I know you do, but let's remind you why of what you do. Okay, so if you have 1/2 plus 2/3, for example, okay, this basically means you're cutting pieces into, the bottom number tells you the slices of your pie. So look, we're cutting it into half. It means you have 1/2. And in the second one, you're cutting it into thirds, and you have 2 of the thirds. Well, you can't add them together because they're not the same size. So the trick is to go in and cut them into the same size. Well, the trick there, you guys, is that you have to cut it into 6 pieces. Okay, so once I cut the pie into 6 pieces, you can see that 1/2 is actually equal to 3/6. And you can see that 2/3 is equal to 4/6. That's the real reason we do it. So it looks like this when we show it though. We're like, get a common denominator. And that's what we do, right? Okay, that's why we do it. We cut them into the same size pieces and then we're there. Okay, so basically we're saying we have to have the same denominator. Look, you guys, the way we changed it is so that we have a 2 and a 3 and a 3 and a 2. Notice, same denominator, same pieces of denominators. So this is kind of just a thought experiment, okay? Bear with me because some people hate it when I do this. And I think it is one of the most useful mathy things you could do. For example, if I have 1 over star plus 2 over square, all right, what is my least common denominator? What is it going to be? It has to contain both denominators. So my least common denominator is going to be star square. It has to have both. So if I'm looking at trying to figure this out, what is this denominator missing? It's missing a square. So I would have to multiply this one by square, but again, we need to multiply it by 1. Square divided by square is 1. This one is missing a star. So we need to multiply that by a star and that by a star, because again, star divided by star is 1. We're not changing the fraction. We're just changing the way it's represented. We're writing an equivalent fraction. So in the end, we get 1 times square is square plus 2 stars all over square star. Now, can we cancel these? No, there's a plus sign. Don't cancel. Okay, this is the answer. All right, so let's try another one. Again, it's a thought experiment. It's seeing whether or not you really understand your math. Okay, so let's try this one. Ready? What if I had a circle over triangle, triangle squared plus triangle over square circle? Okay, whoa, right? Like what the heck? So think about this. The denominators denominators need to be the same. And what that means is composed of the same pieces. So this one has a triangle and 2 squares. This one has a square and a circle. Okay, so what do I need to multiply the, well, first of all, what would the least common denominator be? Okay, the least common denominator must have all of the pieces. So this one has a triangle. Sorry. Okay. This one has a triangle. So we need a triangle. This one has 2 squares. This one has 1 square. Well, the 2 squares contain the 1 square, right? I mean, like if you have 2 squares, then you have 1 square. So it's going to be triangle square squared. And then we come over here. This square is already there. See, it's already there. And then we have a circle. So triangle square squared circle. That is our least common denominator. What do we multiply each by? Whatever we're missing. So what am I missing on this one? I'm missing a circle. So I'm going to multiply by circle over circle. This one, I'm missing a triangle because I don't have a triangle, and I'm also missing a square. Get it? So I'm multiplying it by the missing pieces. Okay, so I get O squared, or circle squared rather, plus triangle squared square equals. Just add them together now. Plus triangle squared square over the least common denominator. That's your answer. All right. It will make sense once we start doing the problems, okay? Because what we're going to be doing is we are going to be factoring these things, okay? Come on, honey. Do this. Gotta get it through 100, and then let's go back to the beginning. Okay, this is your first problem. So take a look. It says adding rational expressions with common denominators. Okay, and quadratic factoring. Okay, so we're going to have a little bit to do here. Check it out. A plus 8 is this denominator. A plus 8 is that denominator. They're the same, so we can add the numerators. A plus 8, and you get a squared minus 64. Now you always need to ask yourself, can I simplify further? Don't just be all happy that you're done. And this is quadratic. So you should recognize it as the difference of 2 squares. It can factor. Minus 8 plus 8 gets rid of the middle term over a plus 8. Only it occurs once, right? Because this is a common denominator. All right, and then this one cancels, and the final answer is a minus 8. Okay, next. Take a look at this. Now, this is not a common denominator, but 4 is 2 times 2 times c. Okay, so what is the LCD going to be? It's going to be 4c. Okay, because 2 times 2 times c is 4c, and 2c goes into 4c. All right, so it's going to be 2 times 2c, which is 4c. Okay, so we're not going to change the first fraction, but we are going to change this fraction. We need to multiply it by 2 so we can get it to 4c. So minus 6 over 4c. Now we have a common denominator, and now we can combine the numerator. So you get 3 over 4c. Now remember, you don't add the common denominators. When they are the same, you just add the numerators. Once it's cut into the same pieces, all we do is add the pieces. Okay, we don't change the denominator. Next. Okay, so now we have something totally different. Okay, what we have here is we have 3 over 5x, which is 5 times x, plus 4 over x minus 4. Well, this is a binomial. This is stuck together. So our LCD is actually going to be 5x times x minus 4. Okay, this is basically triangle, square, circle. That's basically what it is. You must have all of the pieces, and the pieces are 5x and x minus 4. So what am I missing on this one? On this one, I am missing x minus 4. So I would multiply this by x minus 4, x minus 4. Okay, so look, I have my common denominator. And then on the numerator, I'm going to write 3 times x minus 4 plus, on this one, I'm missing 5x. So I would multiply it by 5x over 5x. And I get 20x over 5x times x minus 4. Now they match. They match. We can just add them together. So we get, now look, see how this is 20x, and that's 3 times x. We're going to go ahead and distribute because we'll be able to add like terms. Remember, we want to simplify it as much as possible. Plus 20x all over 5x times x minus 4. I'm leaving that as is, okay? Then we go 23x, because 3 plus 20 is 23, minus 12 over 5x minus times x minus 4, sorry. All right, so you still need to ask, could I factor this further? Had this been a 24, you could have. Okay, but you can't now. Okay, so that's it. There's nothing else to simplify. That is your final answer. Okay? And I think they'll leave it like this, honestly, in factored form on the denominator. All right. Now this doesn't look alike at all, but what we're going to do is we are going to factor this and see what we have. 6 times x plus 4 minus x over 5 times x plus 4. So you have to factor it to see what the pieces are. And the pieces are 6, x plus 4, and 5, x plus 4, right? So x plus 4 is repeated, so we don't need to repeat it again. So it's going to be 30. 6 times 5 is 30 times x plus 4. See how I have every piece? The 6 and the 5 multiplied to 30, and the x plus 4 is already contained. We don't need to do it twice because it's only there. It's the same thing on both ones, okay? All right, so what do we need to multiply that one by? What's the missing piece? 5. So we get 30. And this one we need to multiply by 6, minus 6x. And that's it. There's nothing else you can do. You cannot cancel this 30 because there's a minus sign right here, okay? So you cannot cancel it. All right. Yeah, and there's nothing else you could do. I could factor out a 6, but I wouldn't get an x minus 4. So I don't see why that would be beneficial. I mean, I guess I could. I could factor out a 6, and I would get 5 minus x over, oh, hey, yes, it was beneficial. Check it out. So because they had a 6 in common, I factored it out, and I got 5 minus x. But look, now I can cancel. 6 goes into 30 5 times. So the answer is 5 minus x over 5 times x plus 4. Sometimes you just got to keep working, keep going and going and going until you are done. Okay, I think this might be our last one. Yeah, it is. So the only thing that makes this slightly more difficult is it's still a quadratic, but it has a number in front. So you might need to factor by grouping, you guys, or the AC method. All right. I don't factor using the AC method. I factor, well, let me do it here. I factor just by guess and check. So I would say, actually, this is how I really factor. I'm lying to you guys. Here's how I really factor. I go, wait, okay, I want to do 1 times 5, 4 times 1. That's a 5. That's a 4. I'll get my -1 from there. You guys are welcome to do whatever factoring method works for you. Reminder, AC method, or x squared minus x minus 5, is where you multiply these numbers, 20, and then you see how you can, what are the factors of 20 that can get you to a -1? And the answer is 4 times 5, -1, -5, positive 4. So you go 4x squared plus 4x minus 5x. See, that's equal to the -1 minus 5. And then you go 4x times x plus 1, right? You do that. Minus 5 times x plus 1. These match. You get x plus 1 times 4x minus 5. Okay, that's just reminding you of the AC method because a whole bunch of you actually used this. Okay, reminder. It won't write a D there, you guys. There we go. Okay, I typically do this and then I go, okay, the 4 needs to multiply by 1 and then the 5 needs to multiply by the 1. And I need a -5 and a +4. So I do it my way, you do it your way, it's fine. Okay, and then we get 1 over, and then we're going to factor this one. So again, you can use the AC method. I'm going to do 4 times 1, 2 times 5, and see if I can get to 13. 8 and 5 is 13. Signs are the same, and they're both a negative. Okay, so I know I need, you guys can do it however you want. I need to multiply 4 times the 2, and the 5 goes here then. Okay, and it's going to be minus and minus. I can check it. -8 minus 5 is -13. Good. All right, so now we're finally at the place we need to. Again, this is like my star, square, star, circle example. See, they both have that in common. So the LCD is going to be, 4x minus 5 times x plus 1 times x minus 2. Does that contain every single piece? Yes, it does. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, because I'm lacking space, I'm going to go ahead and put the whole thing here. 4x minus 5 times x plus 1 times x minus 2. And then I'm going to put the first one here. So what do I need to multiply it by? This one, I need to multiply it by x minus 2. X minus 2, right? So I get 3 times x minus 2 plus, this one I need to multiply by x plus 1. X plus 1. Keep going. You have to keep going because we haven't simplified this numerator enough. So distribute, and you get 3x minus 6 plus x plus 1 all over. Leave this in factored form. We are not going to multiply it out. Never. Okay, combine like terms, and you're going to get 4x minus 5 over 4x minus 5. Do you see it? Do you see it? This whole quantity is the same as that one. So the answer is 1 over x plus 1 times x minus 2. That's your final answer. I can shrink it down actually. You know what? I can shrink it down. Here we go. I can shrink it down. I'm doing it on Siteboard. So you get 1 over x plus 1 times x minus 2. And that is your final answer. All right, so the idea is always just factor, 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 figure out what the least common denominator is, and then basically you're just adding fractions.